and get this show rolling. Hello and welcome everyone to another edition of the 7 and a Hook podcast. I am Brooksie, the Irish Insider. Hey, really happy to be back on air with everyone. Got a big NFL divisional round card that we're going to get to. We're going to recap last week's picks. We were on fire again, 8-4 against the spread. Again, cashing tickets is what we're doing here at the 7 and a Hook podcast. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in, following along on all our social medias, the number 7 and a Hook. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and make sure you go to YouTube and give us a subscribe. Hey, last week's folk, you turned in and we had our newest host, newest addition to the team, Jimmy D. D standing for Double Down, because when Jimmy gives you a pick, you better go play it. Well, Easy Money Eric LaFleche, he's on assignment again this week. He's going to be back with us next week. So we've got our third partner in crime on air with us again tonight, and that's Jimmy D. Hey, Jimmy D, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, Brooksie, how you doing? Playing a little backup to Easy, but we'll give it a shot again this week, right, pal?
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, you came out guns a-blazing last week. We broke down all the super wild card games on the NFL card last week, and like I said, we went 8-4 combined, and again handing out winning tickets to our audience. Hey, again, I know for those that are new to the show, Jimmy D, he calls New Hampshire home. I'm down here in Boston. Hey, Jimmy, again 2 degrees this morning when I woke up. You guys kind of in the same ballpark or what?
I think we were -4 this morning, so
nice.
Yeah, it was real nice. Not quite t-shirt weather yet, but they're pretty chilly out there.
So you're not part of that polar bear crew, where you jump in the lake when it's like this cold? Are you doing that again this year, or am I just making stuff up?
Yeah, you know what, Brooksie? My heart's still going pretty good. I just don't want to have a heart attack and have this come out rescue my fat butt. Yep. So no, we're gonna pass on that this year.
All right. Well, how about we do this though? We'll do a little ice fishing like we did last year, right? How's that sound?
Yeah, that is a beautiful thing. And a little hut with a little heater on, a little breakfast, a little fishing.
Yeah, little alcoholic beverage now and then.
Yeah.
That works, right?
Doesn't get better than that, you know. And you get your outdoor plumbing right there, a little hole, so you don't really have to go anywhere to go to the bathroom. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Do what you gotta do. All right. Hey, before because we got to break down all the divisional games this week in playoff games this week in the NFL. We got some sad news, and it'd be remiss if you and I didn't bring this up, because we're kind of old school NHL fans and certainly gamblers too. We're always playing NHL games. Unfortunately, we got some bad news before we went on air, and that is Hall of Famer Clark Gillies passed away. You know, New York Islanders legend Jimmy D. Matter of fact, wow. captain of that team for 3 years, and won 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the early '80s. Man, that was you texted me that he had passed, and it's sad news because we got a lot of great memories with that guy. You know.
Yeah, I look back at the great memories, which when the Islanders beat the Bruins in the early '80s, all those years, I wouldn't call those great memories for me, but because I was a Bruins fan, and the Islanders were kind of the team to beat then. But Clark Gillies, one of the all-time hockey great tough guys. I mean, he protected that team, the Mike Bossies, the Trottiers. They were able to get a little extra space on the ice. And you guys have time, you look on YouTube at his fights with Terry O'Reilly from the early '80s, and they were absolutely wars.
They were.
And, I heard a funny story, Brooksie. I don't know if you heard this. The Bruins had a young player on the team named Al Secord, who was also a real rugged guy.
Yeah, he was.
And during those playoffs, he wanted to give O'Reilly a little rest, because O'Reilly was, if you look up Gillies, his nickname was Jethro, so we know how big and tough he was. So he wanted to give him a little rest, so he took on Gillies, and they were squaring off, and Secord drops his gloves, Gillies drops his gloves, and Seco had said after he saw Gillies drops his glove and looks at the size of Gillies' hands, because he said there was size of shovels. He said, "This is a mistake."
Yeah.
So, it just, that's kind of really sad. He was like I said, he was a real favorite, real rugged, old school hockey, no helmet, that's tough on the NHL today. To hear that, he is a Hall of Famer. He made all the players around him better. But that's kind of a bad story today to start the show.
Yeah, little, certainly sad, but like I said, it's when you think about, I don't know, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're both Bruins fans, so it was tough to watch the Islanders kind of hoist the cup that many years. But now that we're a little bit older, we can kind of look back and say, you know what, it was fun to watch those guys play. You know what I mean? Even though they held that trophy way too many times for us to stomach. I mean, he was. Just think about his stats. We were talking about this before we went on air. This guy had over 1,000 penalty minutes, right? 319 goals and 378 assists. Listen, I don't care what you say. That's an old school Hall of Fame hockey player, and he was inducted, Jimmy, in 2002. So good for him. Good for him, right?
He made the like I said, the Mike Bossies. The Trottiers, the Butch Gorings, all those guys, they felt a little more comfortable with him on the ice. And look, that team, talk about dynasty, the Islanders, they went to 5 Stanley Cups. They won 4 in a row. Yeah. And then they lost that last year. I don't know, it was 85 or 84, whatever that last year. They lost the Oilers, who, they started their dynasty. But, that's truly a big loss, and that was the type of hockey I really liked. Back then you could tackle guys, slash them, punch them in the face. You wouldn't get a penalty. No face shields. Just a different breed of guy, a hockey player. Hockey now is great. It's just different. It's just
it is.
More penalties calls, and so that's not good news. It's like I said, I hope the family's okay, and I just hope Islander Nation. We give him our love today.
Yeah, no, listen, we big time respect to Clark Gillies, Jethro. You know what I mean? So
Jethro, yeah.
May he rest in peace. And before again, we're talking about New York. So 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I forget it was, we were talking about it on air that the state of New York, right? They finally legalized online sports gambling, right? Well, in their first weekend, Jimmy D, they handle was $150 million. Okay,
wow.
So kudos to New York. Okay, listen, this industry, it's coming. It's still kind of in its infancy, Jimmy D. But it's this thing is the sky's the limit with this type of stuff. So hopefully, again, people are tuning in, paying attention because we're handing out winners and sports betting isn't going away. It's not.
No.
Okay, it's definitely not. So. Hopefully, your state, New Hampshire, you're legal up there. You do what you got to do. My state, Massachusetts, we're getting closer. It's passed through it's in committee is what they call it right now. I'm hoping that all things go well because Governor Baker, he is for it, and most of the legislator is. It's just got to go through its final stages. I'm hoping, Jimmy D, that by opening NFL season this year, before the 2022 season gets kicked off, I have a feeling Mass is going to be up and running. That's going to be big time,
Have you ever gone, and I know you answer this, have you ever gone to a Packy in Massachusetts? And for all the listeners out there, what we call a Packy is basically a liquor store in Mass. You go up to the counter, and there's like 50 scratch ticket games. So I don't know what the problem is with trying to get the betting in Massachusetts. I mean, they're behind. Well, I'm from there, but they're always behind on this stuff. I mean, I don't know what the tax money is. I haven't figured out what New York's getting at. You just said 150 million. I'm assuming they get a good chunk of tax money.
Very good.
You know what I mean? But Mass has got to start getting some tax money, for the MBTA and pension, whatever they're going to do.
Whatever.
But I don't understand this. Brooksie, like I said, you go to the liquor store, the Packy, and there's 50 scratch tickets, and that's not an issue. And this is taking so long. This is crazy to me. Crazy.
But the good thing is, shows like us and people that are in the industry like us, we keep beating the drum, okay? And we keep talking about it, and others keep talking about it. And what you really got to do is you got to dial for dollars. And what I mean is you got to call your local politicians and tell them, hey, let's get this going. I mean, it's inevitable. Right now, Massachusetts is, I think, the only state in kind of the New England area that isn't, other than Vermont. But we're getting closer. But anyways, I needed to point that out. We were talking about the Islanders, and I thought about New York. 150 million in their first weekend.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Crazy good. That's how I look at it. Crazy good. You know?
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. So, So let's get back on track here. Let's go NFL. Jimmy, where do you want to go? You want to look at a little bit of last week, or do you want to preview this week? Go ahead. You got the floor, my friend.
Yeah. I'm a couple of games last week, Brooksie. Kyle Murray, I think we all like him. I think he's got great potential for the Arizona Cardinals. He was not ready for prime time last week. I was extremely disappointed with his game. I hope the kid learns from this, and the next year he's all pro. He just didn't have a good game. That interception where he threw it over his head, I didn't know when the guy got it for a touchdown. That was kind of, that was a little bit disappointing. And I think you're on this bandwagon too, Brooksie, that Kingsbury, the coach from Arizona, a lot of people are blaming him for this game. I just don't know how you can look at that game.
Yeah, I don't.
And blame the coach all. Now, maybe I'm not in the locker room. Maybe he didn't have him prepared, whatever. But I don't think, Arizona's been a wasteland for football for years. He's actually got them. People talk about Arizona for football.
Yeah.
So.
You know what, Jimmy, to be honest, Jimmy D, we talked about this. I think the absence, and it's been most of the season anyway, DeAndre Hopkins, it finally kind of caught up to him. I really do. You know what I mean? Like they were playing well without him, but playoff football, you and I both know that's different. That's different.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The leadership alone probably made a big difference, And you got to give Matt Stafford. We've been on him about the interceptions. He's had 17 interceptions this year. I believe that leads the league, or close to it. He was. He only threw for about 200 yards. I know he had 2 TD passes, but he was solid. I mean, and he's going to have to do that this week against the Bucs, if the Bucs, to beat the Bucs, I believe. But yeah, that game was a kind of a disappointment. We had 2 great games. There was 4 games, but the 2 great games I thought was, the 49ers and the Cowboys. Yeah. Again, the Cowboys get to the altar and they don't finish the deal here. Yeah. Dak Prescott, I don't know what was he. That was a high school play. Yeah. What are you thinking at the end of a game? No timeouts, and you decide to run the ball
up the middle. Up the middle. Okay.
Yeah, don't blame the referees. Do not. I know the Cowboy fans out there. They've been whacking me with emails and saying, I'm a Cowboy hate and all that. No, you do not do that play when you have 14 seconds left. Then to rely on these old refs to set the ball, it was a bad play. I thought Jimmy G in that game played okay. He had that again, a horrible interception. Yeah. But Deebo Samuel, stud for the 49ers, runs the ball, passes the ball. I mean, if you're a coach, how do you plan for a guy like that? I mean, the receiver room, I mean, he's just a pure stud. I think you told me earlier that you saw that Nick Bosa, the stud defensive player for obviously the 49ers, is going to be available. Is that correct, Brooksie?
Yeah, he cleared protocol, so he's 100%. Again, I don't know if he's 100%, but he's 100% go. Okay, so that means he's going to play. And you know what? He's kind of there's no brakes on him. It's just hammered down. Okay, and that's the kind of play. He's not like I'm going to run at 50%. That guy runs 1,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
Okay, and that's a big plus for the Niners.
Yep. Well, let me ask you something. Now, again, the Cowboys are all over Mike McCarthy. I just saw Jerry Jones. I saw his radio. I heard his radio interview. He didn't give a solid commitment to Mike McCarthy. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, it's funny. Easy Money, Eric and I were talking about at the beginning of the season. Will or will not Mike McCarthy ever get on the hot seat? You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't start off that great. But they finished well enough, and obviously they won the NFC East. I am of the opinion that his job is not safe. Now I know, and I'm sure you can elaborate on how Jerry Jones is loyal to some people or whatever. I just don't think Mike McCarthy, has what it takes. I just don't. Now I know he had some success at Green Bay. but sometimes you can watch body language and you can watch press conference. He just doesn't seem like he's in control of that team, Jimmy D. That's my opinion. I don't know any more than that, but I don't think he's going to be there. I really don't. I think they're going to have a new head coach. I do.
I mean, let's look at look. Jerry Jones, we brought in. I'm forgetting the Miami coach there. We all know. I can't think of him.
Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, right?
Yes, excuse me, right. They had success, and I don't know who was drafting the players. I got a feeling Jimmy Johnson was, but
Yeah.
Jerry Jones seems to be one of those owners that's got to be involved with this. Now maybe he's only going to be. I mean, he's had Bill Parcells coaching there. He's had a number of guys. Maybe he's only going to be happy if he has his son Stephen Jones coach the team.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm really curious. That Dallas team is loaded with talent. I mean, you look up at defense, offense, everywhere. Why, that shouldn't have happened. But, the 49ers were a tough team. I'm not saying that they are, they get talent all over the field, but I just, the Cowboys in the first half didn't look like they even were there. The alarm clock didn't go off.
No, they were not ready for that game. There's no other way to describe it. Like, it was just, they were flat. I mean, this was a home game. A home game, and you would think they were playing at a neutral stadium in Idaho.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It didn't have a feel. The place wasn't rocking. They didn't come out firing. I don't know. Maybe they underestimated the 49ers. I mean, that happens. It does happen, and it bit them. It bit them in the butt,
I'm gonna put you on the spot because we call like we do here, straight down the line. Mike McCarthy, is he back next year as the Cowboys coach? Yes or no?
No, I'm saying no.
Wow.
No. Yeah.
I'm saying yes. So look, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm saying yes. He's going to come back. I just don't see who else. The Cowboy job you would think would be a very desirable job, but I just don't. I don't know who'd go there. And who's out there that you could bring in.
I think Mike McCarthy. You got to remember where he came from. He came from making all the decisions.
Right.
Okay. You work for Jerry Jones. You don't make all the decisions. Okay.
Right.
You may call the plays, but you don't get to pick the players. You don't. There's very little that you get to do as coach. I mean, you're almost like a semi-figurehead. That's why Jason Garrett lasted so long, right?
Like he just listened. He obeyed.
Right. So Mike McCarthy just cashed about a $16 million paycheck for one year. Okay. He might be going, you know what? There's some other jobs out there that I could go to and actually have a say. And you know what I mean? So, again, I don't know anything more than you do. I just don't think he's, based on what he is capable of in his own mind and decisions he's used to making, I don't think this is going to work for him. I don't.
I don't think it's going to work, but I don't think Jerry Jones is still paying off a big Bodie bot. I don't know if you ever saw the pictures of the Bodie bot, but I think he'll be back next year. Stephen Jones, the owner, just Jerry's son, has said he's coming back. Jerry has not, but I think he's coming back. You say he's not, but and I don't think McCarthy's walking away from what would you say, $16 million?
I think that it was something north of 15, whatever the heck he's making. It's silly money. It's silly money. It really is.
Yeah. I just don't see that happening. But and then one of the other game I'd like to talk about was Kansas City against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That was a good game until the end of the first quarter. I said the game's going the way I thought it would. It was kind of an ugly game.
Yep.
Ben was all right, but Pittsburgh just caved in. Now KC's offense, let's be honest, they look like they're back. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's just, what the problem is though. It was, I think Big Ben is older than we really think. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean is his body. He may be, what is he, 39, 40? I get.
But he's late 30s, I believe.
Late 30s. Yeah. Well, he's more like 52 in terms of the amount of hits and injuries and pain that he's got. He made the right decision. Hang up the cleats, hang up the helmet, go do some talk radio, whatever. You're a Hall of Famer. You got nothing else to prove. You know what I mean? Seriously. So, but that topic for another show. There's a big hole in Pittsburgh. They need a quarterback, Jimmy D, and I don't know who it's going to be. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't even. I'm not up to date on the draft. We'll have to have a draft show on that. But I don't. There's nobody out there that I see that they can just come in and who knows? Maybe like you said, Jimmy G might become available. Maybe they go after somebody like that.
Yeah. There's been rumors again. We got moles. We got feet on the street. Someone emailed us today, and Russell Wilson. And it has some interest. Supposedly, with I guess he's got a pretty good friendship with Tomlin. I don't know how that connection works, but hey, you know what? That wouldn't be a terrible replacement, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you, Casey, Andy Reid's gonna be really happy with how the offense performed. I know we're going to talk about this a little later in the show, but from Jerick McKinnon, I just looked it up. He had 80 yards rushing. Yeah. He had 60 yards. 60 yards passing. DeMarcus Robinson. Again, these guys you haven't even heard of. We've all heard of Tyreek Hill. We've all heard of Kelsey, Mahomes, Holmes at 04. So their offense seems like it's back on track.
Yeah. They spread it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's the key. Yeah.
A little red flag did go up on me. Mahomes was sacked 3 times in that game. He was hit repeatedly. So that offensive line is, with Tooney and the rookie center, that is improved. But that's going to be a little bit alarming to KC. But and I thought Pittsburgh, like I said, they just at the end it was very disappointing to me to see a Pittsburgh Steelers team kind of, I don't want to say they quit. That's not fair, but they just were overwhelmed at the end. I thought the game would have been closer.
Once that KC freight train got rolling, it was. I think in the course of about 3 minutes in the second quarter, they scored 28 points. I mean, it was something absurd like that, right? It was crazy. Like boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, it's 28-7. I'm like, what? Yeah. I just went and got a pizza. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. One thing I know you're Irish and I'm Irish, and we both been Irish weddings when the drinks start to roll.
Hey now.
And people start to dance that really shouldn't dance. A little advice for Travis Kelsey, maybe not dance in the end zone. Have a new celebration, a nice spike or something. The dance ain't working for you, kid. You know what I mean? You're a great player, but let's not dance anymore. All right?
Yeah, he needs to figure out like a Gronk spike. You know what I mean? Or dunk it over the. Didn't he used to dunk it? Wasn't that his thing before Kelsey? He would run and dunk it over the crossbar. I thought that was. Oh, maybe that was Gonzalez. Was that?
Maybe Travis Kelsey saw a Vanilla Ice old video or something. But I don't know. But again, we're not. He's a great player.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable tight end. I'm like, geez.
Yeah, he's definitely not too legit to quit. And he's not MC Hammer, right?
He's a way better dancer than me and probably you. But but I don't got a camera on me. So
that's true.
But anyways,
that's true. All right,
that's how I feel about the games last week. And like I said, we're really looking forward to this week's games. This to me, this week, I know we get to the AFC, NFC championship games next week, and then the Super Bowl. To me, this is my. I don't know. I love this football. Right? Yeah, this week of football. You get four games.
Yep.
And this is we're kind of weeded out the bad teams, and these are all really good, solid teams in there. So this is my favorite week of football. Not sure how you feel about it, but this is what I like.
Yeah. No. To me, this is the best Saturday Sunday card of the year. There's no doubt. It is. Now, granted, next week, you got the championship games, and that's super exciting. But I love this. Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and it's literally it's the 8 best teams. Period. End of story. So I'm excited for it. So why don't you kick it off, Jimmy, with the early? You got the early Saturday game. Why don't you take the floor and let us know?
Okay, well, the first game we got on a great football weekend is Tennessee at home. Against the Cincinnati Bengals. We know what happened last week. The Bengals, we didn't really talk about it, but the Bengals, beat the Raiders. It was a pretty exciting game. Burrows threw, I believe, for 244 yards. Made no mistakes. They had a couple of touchdowns. And Jamar Chase, I think now is a lock for Rookie of the Year. I'm not sure how that voting goes. I don't know if it stops at the end of the season, but he had 9 catches, 116 yards, not bad for a rookie. And they're going up against Tennessee, who's well rested. They had the week off of the bye. And, it's funny with Tennessee, Brooksie. I don't think most people can name 10 Tennessee football players. They're kind of a no-name team.
Yeah.
I was watching on one of the major sports shows this week, and they were questioning whether Tennessee is the number one seed, is the worst number one seed in professional football history. I think that's a little harsh.
Yeah.
But they don't have they don't have a star now.
No.
That being said, their star is coming back.
Yes.
Henry is coming back at running back. He's a stud. We all know what he's capable of doing. It's his first week back. I think with Mike Vrabel, I think Mike Vrabel is a little bit of an underrated coach. I think he's a solid coach. I think with Henry coming back, and I'm hoping that A.J. Brown can come up to the show. And then the other kind of disappointment this year has been Julio Jones for Tennessee. I know he's been injured. He's played about 10 games, I believe. But if he shows up tonight, and then Ryan Tannehill, please, Ryan Tannehill, make the game simple. No interceptions. Okay, we don't have to get crazy out there. Just make the simple plays. And then on the defense for Tennessee, the kid from BC, Harold Landry, he's really kind of coming into his own. He had 12 sacks this year, Brooksie. I don't think anybody predicted that.
No.
And they got that.
No.
They got the big defensive tackle in the middle there, Jeffrey Simmons, I believe. He had about 8.5 sacks. Good luck at blocking him. And then the defensive backfield for Tennessee, you get Kevin Byard. He's a safety. He's a solid player, a good player. He had 5 interceptions on the year. And then they get the cornerbacks there, Molden and Hooker. Solid. No-name players, but solid guys. And Jenkins as well.
I think their defensive backs are pretty good.
Yeah, they're solid.
Yeah.
They're not Ramsey or Gilmore down there. They're solid guys that, the Mike Vrabel type of players.
Yeah.
We saw Mike play at the Patriots for all those years. They're solid players. Now, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. I think we could both agree he's a star in the making. He's a solid. He's amazing. He had a great game last week. 244 yards, 2 TDs. He only threw the ball, I believe, 34 times.
Yep.
And Joe Mixon, the running back, solid.
Yeah.
And then I've already mentioned Jamar Chase and the tight end Zamana or CJ Uzamama. I apologize if I messed his name up, but he's a solid tight end. He got about 500 yards in the year, solid blocker. Now that being said, and their defense is solid for Cincinnati. Trey Hendrickson, you don't block him, he's going to sack your quarterback, right? And then they get Von Bell safety in the back. That being said, the line of the game, Tennessee is giving up 4 points. I think it's going to be a little bit of an ugly game. I like Tennessee, and the over/under is 47 and a hook.
Yep.
I'm going under in that. Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot under 47 and a hook. I'm taking Tennessee, giving up the 4 points, in the hook. I don't know how big of an impact Henry's going to be in this game, but the Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff has spent a lot of time, in the film room figuring ways to stop him. So that's what I'm picking. I'm going with Tennessee, like I said, minus the 4, and the under for 47 in the hook. I think it's going to be an under.
All right. Now listen, I think you mentioned Derrick Henry, the king. The book thinks he's worth something because that line moved once they said he was 100% going to play. So it went from 3 and a hook, which I think it was pretty much all week, to 4, a solid 4. Okay, so he's worth at least a half a point, even if he's only got 1 foot.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, Jimmy D, what do you think? Is he just going to be coming in when they're on the 5-yard line, or do you think he's going to be 20, 25 snaps from scrimmage?
He's had a foot injury, right? That's what the injury was. A foot injury is tough on a big guy. Now he's been out. I think if I remember right, the first 8 games of the season he played, and he had almost 1,000 yards. So he was heading towards a 2,000-yard season.
Yeah.
I think I'd be shocked if he didn't have at least 15 snaps running the ball. The ball.
So he's just not going to be at the goal line. You think they're going to use him in 1st and 10 on the 35, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I that's a long time he's been out, Brooksie.
Yeah, I know.
I just don't know. We're not down there watching their practices. So if he's healthy, they're going to use him. You know what I mean? He's been gone. 8 games. Nine games of the season, 10 games almost. So whatever he had with his foot, he's probably healthy now. He's probably ready to go. I think when Tennessee wins, I believe they'll win. Next week he'll be a lot better next week. But I think he'll be solid this week against Cincinnati. I think they'll be solid.
Well, I can tell you this: if they thought Cincinnati was an easy out, Derrick Henry would be sitting out this week. Okay?
Right.
So I think they respect the Bengals enough where they say, hey, you know what, Derrick, even if you're 75%, we need you. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, okay, good breakdown on that. All right, I'm gonna take a look at the later game tonight, and that is the San Francisco 49ers on the road travel to take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers are favored by, again, at Showtime, and it's 5 and a hook. Points total is set at 47. All right, so the Niners, 10-7 overall in the season, 6-3 on the road. As we kind of alluded to earlier, they're coming off a huge playoff road win last week. They flew into Dallas and they took care of business, 23-17. Even Jimmy D said Jimmy Garoppolo, he wasn't spectacular, okay, but he did what he had to do. Okay, now he tried to give away a game with that stupid interception late in the second half, but the Niners defense did what they had to do and kept Dallas out of the end zone. I think a lot of the credit for San Francisco has to go to Deebo Samuels. You mentioned him, Mr. Versatility, I call him. 72 yards rushing, touchdown. He had 3 or 4 receptions, and then Elijah Mitchell, Jimmy D. He had a pretty solid game, last week. 96 yards rushing and a touchdown. Okay, I mean, I don't think that was expected. You know what I mean? I think Deebo was supposed to be the go-to guy, but Mitchell got hot and they kept handing it off to him. So kudos to them. And then I certainly, you and I both talked off air that the 49ers defense, they came to play. They really did, and they kept Dallas, at bay. And Dallas only had 77 yards rushing. Okay, I mean, that's Ezekiel Samuels and Pollard. You know what I mean? Those two combined didn't even get 80 yards. So and Dak, 250 yards passing, a touchdown, an interception. Again, it seemed he didn't throw for that many yards, really. And I mean, I was shocked when I looked at the stats. I thought he was around 200 because he was kind of a no-show.
He was sacked 5 times, Brooks. I know the line didn't. You got to show up better, but when you're sacked 5 times, you got to get rid of the ball quicker, in my opinion.
No, I agree, Jimmy. What's he getting paid? $40 million?
Yeah, I mean, he wanted all that money, held out. They gave it to him, and he's an up and down guy. It drives me nuts.
And not to go too far off on a tangent, but after the game, where he was kind of condoning the fans throwing stuff at the refs.
Yeah.
That to me is almost like, Bush League, 10 and 11-year-old kids playing in the backyard talk. You know what I mean? That wasn't very professional. Really wasn't.
Yeah. I agree with you, but he's been a pretty class act in this league. He's a good guy, I think, and I think he's just frustrated. But I think you're right. I think he was probably embarrassed that last play. He ran the ball and the time ran out. I think he was embarrassed. I think when he looked back at it, he was like, I was a little bit, should have bit my tongue. Right?
Yeah, and listen, I understand. You put a microphone in front of a guy's face right after a game. Stuff's going to happen, but but then again, these guys have full-time PR guys that are training them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't say stuff that encourages the fans to do stupid stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's 101. And don't ever go after the refs. I mean, you're not going to win that argument. But all right. So anyway, all right. Let's look at real quick though. You did mention Nick Bosa. He is off concussion protocol. Jimmy G is a little banged up too.
Okay.
Yeah, just shoulder.
Shoulder, thumb. He's still working on that. So those are concerns, I guess, if you go into handicap in this game. All right, Green Bay coming off a bye week. They're 13-4 overall, 8-0 at Lambeau. Ofer. No one's won a game there this year yet. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Vaccination, not vaccination. MVP season again. Okay. Over 4,000 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. Okay. His whoopee, as I like to call it, Devontae Adams. That guy is a stud. Over 1,500 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns. And you know what, Jimmy D? I think a big part of their success, too, has to go to former BC running back A.J. Dillon. Okay?
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Right? I mean, 800 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. Now, he gets overshadowed, clearly, because of, the 2 other studs that are on the team. But that is a very serviceable back. You know what you're getting with him, okay? And he doesn't turn the ball over. That's important. All right, so
have you seen? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
have you seen the size of his legs?
Yes.
His legs are the size of a Toyota.
Yes.
I mean, like, it reminds me of Earl Campbell. I mean, just how do you tackle that, right?
You, 2 people. That's how.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Very rarely do you see a one-on-one where he gets taken down. Doesn't really happen. Okay. So, all right, these teams met week 3 in this season. And Green Bay traveled to San Francisco, got the job done, beat the Niners, 30-28. All right, let's look at tonight. It's going to be cold. It's Lambeau. It's winter. It's supposed to be 13 degrees, wind chill, probably take it down to 0. Okay? 49ers have the 3rd-ranked best defense in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers, 9th best defense in the NFL. Okay. I don't think the 49ers are phased traveling to Green Bay, okay? In the last 8 playoff games that these 2 teams have met, now some of the faces are different, some of the same. They split 4-4, okay? The last 3 times they've met in the playoffs, the 49ers have won, okay? And that includes the 2020 or 19, I'm getting my where they beat the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship and went on the Super Bowl, okay? They're not fazed by it. The coaches are not fazed by the Lambeau legend.
Nope.
That's why, listen, I'm kind of going against the grain here. I think that the Niners are going to keep this game close. I'm going to take the 5 and a hook, Jimmy D. Okay? As far as the points total, I talked about defense about a minute ago. I think this is going to be more of a ground and pound type of game. Okay?
Yep.
I'm going to go under. I'm going under the 48. So give me the 5 and a hook, and I'm going to go under the 48. Now, also, I have 2 quick prop bets that I pulled down on this game. And Deebo Samuel, you mentioned him. The guy's just a stud. Okay, I like his. I think this is a value play here. His rushing yards total in the game is 40 and a hook. Okay, I'm going over, Jimmy. I think they're going to use this kid a lot. Okay,
Yep.
I think he's going to get over 40 and a hook yards. And my other prop bet, real quick, is Aaron Rodgers. Now his touchdown pass total is 2 and a hook. I'm going to go under in this game. I know he throws a lot of. He can score a lot. I just think this is going to be more of a ground and pound type of game. The weather may play a factor, and I think San Francisco's defense is going to give him some headaches today. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers under 2.5 touchdowns, and that's my breakdown on that. What do you say? Am I crazy?
No, so with the Deebo Samuel, you're doing the prop bet.
Yep.
Is that 40 yards total? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. It was 40 yards total?
40 and a hook yards rushing, and I'm going over that.
Well,
Okay.
he had 72 last week.
I know.
And you can make the argument. I'm not looking at the stats. You can make the argument that Dallas has got a better defense, or is a good defense as Green Bay. Yeah, that seems like an easy bet to me. I don't know what that's up with that. That seems a little different, but yeah, I like that. I do like your bet. I think yeah.
I know I'm going to get a bunch of email because we have a lot of Green Bay people that tune into the show, and you know what? We love you. Listen, I've been to Milwaukee 2 or 3 times. I've been to Summerfest.
Oh, it's a great state.
It's just awesome. The people are super fun. You can't not have a good time in Milwaukee.
Okay, you can't unless you're just a bozo. But so listen, it has nothing to do about hating on Green Bay or Wisconsin. I love them, but I just think this is a good spot for the Niners here. You know.
Do you think the 49ers will win this game, or are you just doing it because of the line?
You know, to be honest, I mean, I like the 5 and a hook getting the points,
Yeah.
but if, you know, I may sprinkle something on the money line. I think this could be just a straight up win for the Niners.
Well,
yeah.
Well, if that happens, Matt LaFleur will be out of there.
Yeah, you're right.
He'll be gone. After last year's debacle or whatever, just screw up against the Buccaneers in that game. But
maybe they'll bring back Mike McCarthy. They'll, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
LaFleur will go to Dallas. Who knows?
They'll trade coaches. They'll solve that problem with Dallas. Yeah, you know, I do like that. I would take the 5 and the hook. I agree with you on that with the 49ers. I'm just, that's a tough one, Brooks. I'm glad you took that game and not me.
No, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. This was a tough game to cap. You know, but I definitely like the under in this game, too, though. I think you got
I do too.
two good
I definitely
defenses,
like the,
you know.
The weather's going to be cold there tonight.
All right, so what do you got? Let's move to the Sunday card. What do you got the early game, right?
I mean, great day of football. You get the Rams in Tampa Bay, and then the night game you get KC and the Bills. That's just, I mean, you sit in your lounge chair and you just your favorite chair in your house. You grab your nachos and your cheese and your beer or your Coca-Cola or water, and you just watch football all day. Because I will not be leaving my chair watching that.
No.
That's just great football. I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, I'm going to do the Rams Tampa Bay game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, this is a real interesting game. We both know that Tampa Bay went to L.A. Early in the year. Close game to about the third quarter. The Rams took over. Deshaun Jackson was gone. Made a great play, ran through the whole team, and then kind of made the game out of reach. Tampa Bay lost the game, obviously 34-24. The thing I saw in that game, Brooksie, was Brady, I think, threw the ball, I believe, 55 times.
Yeah, he did.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Now, the yardage went up, and they only ran the ball 13 times.
Yeah.
Brady ran 3, and the running backs ran 10. They will not win this game if they do that same strategy again. You got to get your running backs running more.
Yeah.
You cannot. With their linemen are hurt. We're not sure on Tristan Wirfs, the All-Pro tackle for Tampa Bay. I'm hearing Ryan Jensen's got the bad ankle. Now, Donaldson and Von Miller's got he's playing a lot younger than he is. They got to protect Brady, and throwing the ball 55 times is just crazy, in my opinion. Tampa Bay's got playoff Lenny back. He's got to come up and perform. I know he's banged up, but I believe he's going to play. It's still questionable, but I believe he's going to play.
Listen, Fournette was a big part of their Super Bowl team last year, right?
Yeah, he was, and he just, he was amazing. And Tampa Bay's line's been good too, but like I said, you got an All-Pro with a bad ankle, and your leader on that line, Ryan Jensen, with a bad ankle. Linemen do not do well with bad ankles. Run blocking's fine. Pass blocking, where they got to go left or right laterally, it's a problem.
It is.
It's just a problem. Now, look, the Rams, they got their issues. The Rams, they're two safeties, Jordan Fuller and Taylor Rapp. Both those guys were 1 and 2 in tackles on the team, are gone. They're not playing. That's a big deal. Now, I know they got Jalen Ramsey. He's great. But the two safeties gone, that hurts them. And they got Eric Weddle there, who's older than you.
Yeah.
But he played safety. Yep. That's going to help, I guess, but I'm not sure. And the Rams were solid last week against. Do we really want to call the Cardinals? That was the Cardinals just didn't show up. So it's hard to. But they do have Donalds, and they got Von Miller, and they are the studs. I mean, Von Miller's older, I know that, but he seems to, when he sees Brady, he takes to a new level.
He does. He sees red, is what he sees. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it's all of a sudden he gets this adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was watching on one of the TV shows this week, and they were saying this game reminds me of the 2015 New England Patriots against the Denver Broncos, where Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware hit Brady 18 times, 5 sacks. Amazing. Well, Yeah, and I agree that maybe it is similar. They both had those games. The Patriots had their line was hurt, and this game the Buccaneers line's hurt. But the problem I got with doing that is this game's at Tampa Bay. That game was at Denver, which is a hard place to win, and the Rams got Matthew Stafford, who's playing solid. The Broncos had Peyton Manning. I mean, who do you want in a big game, right?
That's again, you're talking Hall of Famer to, a very good quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no compare. And I think you even said it. Von Miller was what, 7 years younger?
Yeah, I mean, now it's just different. Hey, look, I don't want to kneel Matthew Stafford. But, because the last game they played against Tampa down there in L.A., he had 4 touchdown passes. He was amazing. Yeah. Do I think he's going to do it this week? No, I don't. That's why I am going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're giving up the 3.
Yep.
And I'm going to take the under. I think 48 points for this game both defenses are solid. I think 48 is too much. I'm going with the under. Now, the offensive line, the key to the game is the offensive line for Tampa. They just got to protect Brady a little bit. And I think Brady's going to use Giovanni Bernard, just real short passes, get him going. And like I said, playoff Lenny's back. Even if he could just get you a couple of yards every time he touches the ball. I know you've been big. You've told me this, that with the Rams, you're impressed with Sonny Mitchell. Yeah. He used to play for the Patriots. We'll see if he shows up. And I know OBJ for the Rams has been. Last week he looked, like he did when he was with the Giants. Just you were happy to play. But
Jimmy D, he threw a touchdown pass last week, right?
He did. He did. I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah.
I really didn't. But I just think with the Rams losing their top safeties, Jordan Fuller, and Rapp, and I know Jalen Ramsey's still a stud at cornerback. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm repeating myself, going to take Tampa Bay minus the 3. And I am going with the under. The under is 48. No. Now, if that line changes, I might change too. But that's what I'm going with right now.
Yeah, no, again, it's the points total may move a half a point, may move a point, but I think what you just said makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Tampa might score some points. I don't know if LA is gonna. I don't know, but I think that's a good breakdown. breakdown. And you know what? Tampa Bay don't lose at home.
Right. And Matthew Stafford's threw 17 interceptions this year. I know he was great last week, but we'll see what happens when he's in front of that Tampa crowd. I know that's not Mile High; they're not a wild crowd, but and the weather's not going to play.
No,
they're both hot weather teams, but we'll see. That's where I'm going with this game.
All right, good breakdown. All right, I got the last game on the card this weekend, and it's couple behemoths, couple big time teams here. I got the Buffalo Bills on the road, travel to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs, as of Showtime, are a 1.5 point favorite. Points total is set at 54. All right, so the Bills overall for the season are 11-7, 5-3 on the road. Now, coming off a monster home playoff win last week against the New England Patriots, 47-17. I mean, they literally, Jimmy, they slayed the dragon, right? I mean, it's there's a new sheriff or in the AFC East, or a new king of the AFC East, and it's the Buffalo Bills.
They didn't like the bully taking the quarter from them every week. They fought back.
Yeah, and you know what? The Patriots didn't lay down. The Bills were just that much better. Okay? And, listen, you and I both like Mac Jones. We think he's got as long as he stays healthy, he's going to have a good career. But it was deer in the headlights. Okay?
Their stars outplayed our stars. Our stars outplayed the Patriots stars. That was what I got out of that game.
Yeah,
the Bills stars outplayed the Patriots stars.
Without a doubt. And I think if they played them 10 more times, the Bills would win probably 8 of them. You know what I mean? It's just they're better than the Patriots. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now they are. Yeah.
And, all right. So you mentioned stars, right? Josh Allen, 308 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Okay. He also rushed. Oh, by the way, for 66 yards. Okay. Again, how do you game plan for a quarterback like that? I don't know. And then Devin Singletary, listen, he was on fire. Over 80 yards rushing, and he had 2 touchdowns. Okay, so he came up big. All right, and then again, the Buffalo defense, it just stymied the Patriots. They couldn't really get anything going. Yeah, they got 17 points, but the game wasn't that close, Jimmy D. It really wasn't. I mean, Buffalo, what was it? They didn't punt. They didn't turn the ball over, right? I mean, it was they played
2 games in a row against the Patriots. They did not punt. It's a record.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty flawless. You know what I mean? So kudos to Buffalo. They did what they had to do. All right, the Chiefs, 12-5 overall, 7-2 at home. They had a slow start last week. We already kind of talked about it against the Steelers, but then, man, when that KC engine got firing on all cylinders, it was 7-0 defensive touchdown by T.J. Watt, and everyone's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Steelers going to win, and I think Kansas City just ran off 35 unanswered or something like that, and the game ended up 42-21. Again, a couple garbage touchdowns at the end for Big Ben and Steelers. So again, that game wasn't really close. And you know what? KC it was like, they got done, after the game, it was like, yep, we won. You know what I mean? And it was business. It was business, Okay, Mahomes, again, monster. 400 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. So let's look at this week. Now, these two teams last met in October, maybe 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and the Bills stomped them. That was in Kansas City, okay? 38-20. Now, there was a bit of a revenge factor because the year before, Kansas City beat them in the AFC title game, okay?
Yeah.
And that was a 38-24, KC win, okay? So, maybe there was a little revenge factor. Listen, so, okay, I think any revenge or a previous game, I think that's out the window, okay? They each won a game. They feel good about each other. Now the Bills got to fly back to Kansas City, and can they get this done? Okay, you got 2 powerhouse offenses here, all right? Each team averaging over 28 points a game. These teams can score, okay? I looked at this line, and, you and I were kind of talking about it during the week. Listen, a home field advantage to me is an automatic 3. Right, so that's kind of what the bookies look at. So let's say a home team is always a 3-point favorite. So this line opened 3, 2.5, 3. I actually thought this should have been more 4 and a hook. Okay,
I agree with you 100% what you said.
Right, point favorite, and so this line is a little. I always say if it's stinky, then it's stinky. I think the line is now 1 and a hook. Okay,
I don't get that.
So. And again, I may be going against the grain here, but I think that the book is begging me to take Kansas City. I really do. I think there's a lot of money on both sides, but they're begging me right now to take KC. I'm not. Okay. I'm
Wait a minute here. We got a little bit of a like we call an Irish disagreement here.
Yes, and that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
I actually think Buffalo Bills are a better team. Okay. I'm gonna take the 1 on a hook, Jimmy D. Okay. And as far as the points total, I'm looking up. I'm going over the 54. So I like the Bills with the 1 on a hook. And I like the over 54. And then real quick, let me give you 2 prop bets, and then you can tell me I'm wrong. Okay? All right. Josh Allen. Okay? His passing yards, overall passing yards in the game, it's 280 and a hook yards. I think he is going to sail over that. Okay?
Wow.
I'm going to go over. Wow. Over 280 and a hook yards. And then I look at Patrick Mahomes. All right? I think both these quarterbacks are going to be hucking and chucking. Okay?
Yeah.
His interceptions. I think he's going to throw at least 1 interception. Okay? It's
Mahomes.
Mahomes. So I'm going to say 1 or more interceptions for Patrick Mahomes. Those are my 2 prop bets in this game. All right, so let's go back to our Irish disagreement, where I like the Bills, and I'm guessing you like KC.
Yeah, I really wish Brooksie would start drinking at 12. Maybe wait till after we do the show, because I don't see Josh Allen. I know I called him Jared Allen.
I am drinking, and people that are watching
Allen,
the show.
280. I'm not sure of that. I don't see that. But let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
If the Bills beat the Cincinnati Bengals, the New York Jets, any other team but the Patriots with a mighty big Bill Belichick, do you think that this line would be the way it is now?
No, I don't.
I agree with that too. I think the Patriots still have a little cachet.
Yeah.
People will still ignore that. That game was a disgrace. And I haven't studied it, but Mac Jones, I like the kid. I think he's solid. But Mac Jones was mostly, he threw the ball 10 yards and in. So when I was watching the defense for the Bills last week, they were bringing everybody up, and they weren't worried about the long. And I know he threw one long one to what's his name? The one being the guy intercepted, but they were kind of bringing the guys up. And Mac Jones was kind of lost in the game. I don't blame this on him, but I blame it on the team. But 1.5 points. KC at home, which they're pretty solid, and I know Buffalo beat them early in the year. That was a different KC team.
Yep.
If you looked at, like I already said the stats, but Tyreek Hill had 57 yards and a TD in this last game. McKinnon, I didn't even know who he is, right? He had 80 yards running the ball, or catching the ball, and then he had 6 yards rushing. I mean, he was a stud. DeMarcus Robinson had 76 yards. Then you had Kelsey, 100 yards. Mahomes had 4 yards passing. I just only a point. I'm going with KC.
Listen,
I think they'll cover easy in this game. And with the Josh Allen, what did you say? 200. The prop bet 200.
280 and a hook yards passing.
I just don't see it. I think he's going to be well under that. I haven't seen the weather report out of Kansas City. I think he's going to be under that. And the Mahomes, he's going to throw at least, one interception.
Yeah.
I see that as a push. He probably will. I don't see him just going over one. I'm shocked with you on this. I'm shocked you're not taking KC. You must have got the Buffalo Kool-Aid today.
Well, it's funny. I just held up my glass. I am drinking some Kool-Aid, so it's and it's not spiked either. Okay.
Well, maybe have a little less next week when we do this, because I think it's affected your judgment. But
remember, I wasn't.
You might be right. You might be right.
I wasn't feeling good all week, so maybe some of the medication I'm taking, maybe it's going to my head. But
it's bad. Yeah, you got to read that. Mix it alcohol, that magic. Yeah, it's all good. So
hey, listen, that's why we do these shows. We don't always agree. We don't.
Yeah.
Then it's up to our listeners to take our information and insight and make the best judgment, right? That's what this show is all about. So go ahead.
Yeah, and the listeners too. Do your research too. I mean, do what you can and make an educate. Listen to us. So we're Brooksie's been amazing and been picking these teams this year. I mean, he's getting one of the top. There's nobody out there in the country, and I'm not trying to embarrass you here, Brooksie.
No.
But I mean, you've been amazing on picking these games. You've been on an amazing role. I was okay last week. I've been pretty good myself, but not on your level. But the listeners should do their old homework and then listen and make an educated bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you've said a number of times, go with your brain, not your heart. That's the key, I think.
Listen. You were all over Buffalo last week, right? I mean, you bleed Patriot blue. But you know what? When it comes to your wallet, you gotta use your head, right?
I wear Patriot thongs when I go. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Okay. Hey, well, it's a good thing the show's wrapping up here.
Yep.
But seriously, that's gonna put a wrap on this weekend show. Jimmy D, second time in the director's chair with us. Appreciate you being part of the team. And we're gonna head to the exits. Okay.
Yep, I appreciate it, kid.
All right. Again, hope everybody tuned in, enjoyed the show. Go play our picks, and then go cash some ticks. So, hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. And as we always say, may your bad beats be small and your big wins be monster.
Thanks again for tuning in to the 7 and a Hook podcast. Until next time, may your bad beats be small and your big wins be monster.